It doesn't look like a big deal from the outside. Just a clean room, a made bed, dishes never left overnight. But if you've ever felt that quiet urge to fix things, to straighten something that isn't quite right, to clean even when no one asked you to, there's usually more behind it. Because for some people, keeping their space clean isn't just a habit. It's something deeper, something their mind learned to rely on. Think about this. You walk into your room and something feels off, not messy enough for anyone else to notice. But you notice it. A chair slightly out of place. A surface not completely clear. Something unfinished. And even if you try to ignore it, it stays in the back of your mind until you fix it. And only then you can relax. That feeling isn't random. For a lot of people, cleaning is just a chore, something they do when it gets bad enough. But for others, it's constant. Small adjustments. Daily resets, keeping things in order even when life isn't. And if that sounds familiar, it might not be about the space. It might be about what the space represents. Because your environment is one of the few things you can fully control. You decide where things go, how they look, when they change. And in a world where most things feel unpredictable, that control matters more than it seems. So your mind holds on to it, not consciously, but quietly. You might notice it in small ways, like feeling uncomfortable when things are out of place, even slightly, or getting a subtle sense of relief when everything is clean again, or not being able to focus until your surroundings feel right. It's not about perfection. It's about regulation. Because when your external space feels organized, your internal state feels more stable, at least for a moment. Pause for a second. Think about how you feel after cleaning your space. Not just physically, but mentally. Clearer, calmer, more in control. That shift is important because it shows you what your mind is actually responding to. Not the cleaning itself, what it creates. And here's where it gets interesting. A lot of people assume that constantly cleaning means you're organized, or maybe even a perfectionist. But the real reason isn't always that simple. It's not just about liking things clean. It's about what happens inside you when they're not. For some people, disorder in their environment creates a kind of mental noise. Not loud, but persistent, like something is unfinished, something unresolved. And your mind keeps returning to it until it's fixed. So cleaning becomes a way to close that loop, to quiet that background tension. And over time, that turns into a pattern. You don't just clean when things are messy. You clean to feel settled, to feel clear, to feel like things are under control again, even if everything else isn't. This can go deeper than it looks, because sometimes this need for order doesn't start with the space. It starts with experiences, moments where things felt unpredictable, where outcomes weren't certain, where you had to adjust, stay aware, stay prepared. And when that happens enough, your mind starts looking for stability wherever it can find it. So it creates it in small, controllable ways, like your environment. That's not weakness. That's adaptation. You might also notice something else. You don't just clean your space. You reset it. There's a difference. Cleaning is removing mess. Resetting is restoring a feeling, a baseline. A sense of this is how things should be. And when that baseline shifts, even slightly, you feel it. It also shows up in how you think. You might prefer clarity over chaos, structure over randomness, knowing what to expect rather than guessing. Because your mind is constantly trying to reduce friction, to make things smoother, more predictable, more manageable. But here's the part most people don't talk about. Even when everything is clean, your mind doesn't always fully relax, because the need underneath it isn't just about the environment. It's about maintaining a sense of control, and control is never permanent. So sometimes You clean again, not because it's dirty, but because it gives you that same brief sense of reset, that moment where everything feels aligned. Pause and reflect for a second. When you clean, are you just organizing your space? Or are you trying to organize how you feel? Because for a lot of people, those two things are connected, more than they realize. There's also something subtle about identity here. Over time, you might start to see yourself as someone who likes things clean, someone who stays organized, someone who has it together. And those things feel true, but they're also built on deeper patterns. Patterns about how you manage stress, how you create stability, how you respond to discomfort. And that doesn't make it a bad thing. In fact, it can be incredibly helpful. A clean space can support clarity, focus, calm. It can give you a sense of grounding when things feel overwhelming, but also explain something else. Why sometimes you feel more affected by your environment than others. Why a little mess can feel like a lot. Why disorder can feel heavier than it should. Because for you, it's not just visual, it's internal. And once you see that, the pattern becomes clearer. It's not just about cleaning. It's about regulation, control, stability, a way for your mind to create order when it doesn't fully trust the outside world to provide it. And that realization shifts something. Because instead of asking, why am I like this? You start seeing the purpose behind it, the logic, the adaptation. You're not just someone who cleans a lot. You're someone whose mind learned. That order creates relief. That structure creates calm. That small control can make a big difference. And once you understand that, you start to see your behavior differently. Not as a quirk, not as an obsession, but as a pattern. One that came from somewhere. One that serves a purpose. Because it was never just about the house. It was about how you feel inside it. And once you see that, you can't really unsee it. If this felt familiar, there's always more beneath the surface. Because understanding yourself is where everything starts.